You're watching The Real with Mike. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day and all ready for the weekend. This video, we're going to talk a little bit about Canada's financial situation and a bill that's being looked at for universal basic income. So for starters, I'd like to just talk about some of the cities that have lost significant amounts of money due to the last year, our situation there. I'm being very careful what I say here. I've had 2 videos taken down, so forgive me for that. Toronto lost $8.35 billion in tourist activity in the last year. $8.35 billion in one city, and I know it's the larger city, but that's one city of lost revenue in the tourist industry. So if we break it down a little bit, here are some of the harder hit sectors. Retail, $1.68 billion, food and beverage, $1.33 billion, accommodations, $1.21 billion, finance, $1.03 billion, transportation, $0.81 billion, attractions and entertainment, $0.71 billion, all others added together, $1.59 billion. Also lost from reduced tourism was $1.44 billion in unrealized tax revenue for the federal, provincial, and municipal governments. That's a lot of money that Canadians are out, a lot of jobs down, a lot of people laid off. Our deficit, the projected deficit pre-pandemic, was $34.4 billion for 2021. That deficit has went to $343.2 billion, $300 billion more than the projected. Net federal debt will hit $1.2 trillion. I've read other articles that claim this will be closer to 1.5. Federal debt to GDP ratio is expected to rise to 49% in 2021 from 31%. Direct federal support for Canadians' businesses, $212 billion. Due to the slowdown, it has cost federal treasury an additional $81.3 billion, and the GDP will shrink by a projected 6.8% this year, which is the worst since the Great Depression. Now, this is happening throughout the whole country, in cities all over the place. People are getting laid off, losing jobs, not being able to pay rent. It's a mess. And like I said, it's happening in Ontario, Winnipeg, BC, everywhere. And it shows in our unemployment stats. I'm going to pull up the unemployment statistics here, and we'll have a look at that. So here we've got a graph, April 2020, July 2020, October 2020, and January 2021. You can see in April, when the big lockdown happened, it started to ease up into July, August, September, October. But it starts going back up in January 2021. Yes, there is some reason for that. But it's worse now in March than it was in January. That 9.5, I believe, is going to go up above 10 easily, with all the layoffs that have happened since. You've got GM short on the computer part, people are laid off, and there's a lot of businesses that are still trying to keep their doors open but are struggling, and I think a good chunk of them are going to have a really hard time getting past this, getting over this, especially if it continues and we have second, third, fourth wave of this. So I think the worst is yet to come as far as unemployment and Canada's debt. I don't see an end in it, and most would agree with that. So that leads us to this many people not working, As you can see, the unemployment rate, and I'm quite certain this is going up. So that leads us to this bill that Prime Minister Trudeau and others are looking at. I'm going to bring it up here. So here we go here. Guaranteed Basic Income Bill has now been tabled in Canada. Bill C-273. Now, I'm not sure why anybody would think being more reliant on the government would be a good idea. I think it's a bad idea in different ways. I'll read a little bit of this article. The Liberal Member of Parliament from Davenport, Toronto, Julie Dershowitz, has tabled a private member's bill, C-273, that aims to establish a national strategy for a guaranteed basic income. The bill would require the Ministry of Finance to develop a national strategy to assess implementation models for a guaranteed basic income program as part of Canada's innovation and economic growth strategy. The private member's bill also details reporting requirements concerning the strategy. Anytime socialism has been implemented, it doesn't boost the economy. It doesn't help strengthen the economy. It does the exact opposite. And there's multiple examples of this. Bill C-273 states immediately in its preamble that all Canadians have the right to their basic needs met, to participate fully in society, and to live with dignity regardless of their employment status. The bill also states that a guaranteed basic income program could enhance the economy's ability to grow and improve its productivity. It's simply not true. Socialism does not boost the economy. It does the exact opposite. China found this out. I did a video on socialism. And China tried the experimental free market capitalism in different areas of the country. And they did very well. So they kept implementing them. And China has a kind of it's a capitalism dictatorship, though, but it's still based on capitalism, and that's why they don't really qualify for socialists. A guaranteed basic income program could lift many Canadians out of poverty and provide them with the stability they need to access education and employment opportunities and to reach their full potential. Again, I disagree that it lifts people out of poverty. In fact, I think it does the exact opposite. And there's many examples of this. It doesn't add stability. In Canada, if you want education, there's ways to get it. If you want to increase your employment opportunities, there's ways, programs, lectures, there's help to achieve the goals that you're looking for. Now they keep talking about the equality for everybody. People get what they put into something. If someone goes to school for 4 years and they make more money than someone that didn't invest that time and money, they should. And if you're doing something and you think you deserve more money, do something to change that. But the equality of outcome is coming from the people we have in party. If they want to talk about equality, let's have a look at some interesting numbers of wages of some of these premiers who are pushing for these social programs for equality. So let's talk about equality from wages from a premier to the average wage in that province. Ontario, premier, $209,272 a year. The average wage is $54,630. Nova Scotia's premier makes $196,103. Their average wage is $46,396. Nunavut premier makes $193,499. Their average wage is $72,185. Quebec's premier makes $180,781. The average wage is $49,312. British Columbia's premier makes $177,888. The average wage is $50,716. Northwest Territories premier makes $177,654. Their average wage is $46,396. Newfoundland premier $167,765. The average wage is $54,451. New Brunswick premier makes $162,765. The average wage is $48,122. Saskatchewan premier makes $154,247. The average wage in Saskatchewan is $53,251. Manitoba premier makes $141,508. The average wage in Manitoba is $49,498. PEI premier makes $136,438. The average wage in PEI is $44,455. The Yukon premier makes $87,631. The average wage is $58,725. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's wage is $351,200. So if they want to talk about equality and equality of outcome, they should look at their own wages and look at what their province's average wage are. Because there's a very large difference, and if they want to start with equality, I see some opportunity there, and I think it'd be a great place to start. On other news, Canada is going to strive to hit their immigration numbers for the year. Trudeau government bringing in over 33,000 immigrants per month into Canada during the pandemic. Now, to do some simple math here, 33,000 per month times 12 months is 396,000. It's actually, the goal is just over 400,000. So I'm doing the math here on the low end. You take 396,000, you divide it by 365 days per year. That is 1,084 immigrants per day. Now, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but mass immigration has to take the forefront, it costs money to stay in the hotels for your 3-day quarantine. And this can, there's a typo there. It says 15,000. That was meant to be 1,500. Sorry about that. 1,500 is the average for a 3-day stay at your luxurious COVID-19 hotel. Divide that by 3, gives you $500 a day. So you take that 500, you times it by the 1,084 migrants that will be coming in each day, which gives you a grand total of $542,000 per day on taxpayer money for the immigrants to stay at these luxurious hotels. That doesn't include testing or anything on and above the 3-day stay. After that, there's obviously social programs and a variety of other things that immigrants can apply for to help them get situated. But that's over $500,000 a day for the next year, assuming nothing changes. Do we really have the money to do this? And why would you do this during times like these? It shouldn't even be considered right now. That's an awful lot of money for an economy that's struggling and people at work. And not only that, we're not getting doctors, lawyers, skilled laborers. Many of them can't speak English. They struggle doing simple things. It's low skilled labor is what's coming. And that drives our labor down. And it's not beneficial in this scale. They like to sell it like it has to be done, but it's not. And the more social programs you have, the more people that want to migrate to your country, because, hey, it's free shit. It's crazy the way things are going. I think it's time for Canadians to look after Canadians. And I suggest everybody to, there only seems to be one party that seems to be questioning a lot of the things going on, spending, and what's in the best interest for Canada and Canadians. And that is the People's Party of Canada. I think that people should look into that and do your reading on that. My next video is going to be about that. There's been a few officials that have moved from the Conservatives to the People's Party of Canada, and I think they deserve some support because they're the only ones questioning any of this. And are these policies in the interest of Canadians? Because I think there's a debate that needs to, at the very least, a debate that needs to happen over how Canada is spending its money and where it's going, and how much is leaving the country, and the mass immigration, especially during hard times. We have mom and pop shops closing. We have people losing their jobs. I don't understand we have an unemployment rate that's at 9.4, and but we got to proceed with this 33,000 immigrants per month at a cost of $542,000 a day. It's insane. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening.